This is an action item, as you guys will recall. We did discuss at last meeting. We do need to take action items so we can vote on it, so I will need a motion in a second so we can discuss. A motion by Councilwoman Hernandez, may I have a second? Second by Councilwoman Talamantes. Fred.
Mayor and Council, this item was part of the discussion, up for discussion last meeting, and as you, Council may recall, or may not recall, the request for repairs to the pool came out at a little less than $75,000 on top of what we currently contribute to the pool. So that item is up for consideration tonight, and I think in speaking to, the doctor was aware, was aware that you guys were going to act on this item, or potentially act on it, but nonetheless, I think that's still the request is for 70. I haven't heard anything different to say that the request has changed. So I just want to make sure that that's something that the council understands that it is, and it is not a budgeted item. So it's not in our budget. As the council knows, this was, I think we got this request probably around 2 weeks ago. So anyway, I just want to make sure as you vote, just make sure that is an understanding that it is not a budgeted item. Thank you.
And council, we did, I think there was a question, we had Bobby look over the contract, and we're not mandating to join in these expenses as per that contract. And so, citizens, it is our desire, I mean, certainly I'm speaking for myself, I won't speak for the council, but we want to try to help the school as much as we can, and we want to try to help the county as much as we can, but there are certain monetary constraints. So I think we hashed this around pretty well last time, but we need to get the school an answer. And do want you guys to know that we value the pool. It's a valuable asset to the community, but there's just some things we can do and something with that. With that being said, council, is there anything that you guys would like to say?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Trevino.
So, Mr. Rodriguez, did we ever get, I know we asked Dr. Rodriguez to give us more or less an estimate of how much a new one would cost. Did we get that answer?
No, sir.
No, we
I did
didn't.
not receive. No, sir.
So, I believe what I'm looking at is, yes, we would love to. I mean, I would personally would love to help, but in this situation, I think this swimming pool is old. I mean, pretty much old, and I think what we're doing is just patching it up to where I think we need something more better for the community. So I think what I've been looking at is there. I know we discussed that there's some sort of grant that we can possibly get,
Yes.
that we take over that swimming pool and build a new one on it. Is that, am I correct? Is that how we can?
There's grant opportunities that we can look at, and again, I think one of the grants that I was looking at was deadline is in August. So my assumption is that it'll open up for opportunities probably in March or April to apply for that grant. That's through the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and there is a match. But I think if we were to look at something like that, we could do a combination of things to help. Maybe with, again, if we were going to build a pool as a city, and if we were going to maybe combine it with another facility, that's always something to consider. Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman.
I agree with Councilman Trevino on this part. I am for helping the schools, especially the kids. But our pool hasn't been 100% operable in a few years, just because of how old it is. The school has done their part in maintaining the pool, but I believe that it's already come to the life of the pool itself. I'm gonna go ahead and cast my vote on this, but I have brought my concerns to Mr. Reyes and had a conversation with Mr. Reyes on looking at avenues where the city will build their own pool, and that's the only way we're able to utilize a grant is by owning the pool itself. We cannot use a grant when another entity owns it. So my thing is that if we build the pool and we own it, then we could get matched through a grant. But I don't think with the money that the school's asking for right now will make the pool operable for next year. So I've already have decided my own decision on this, but for the record, we are here to help the kids, but financially, it's not in our numbers right now.
Council,
I have
anything else?
something to say. I agree
From
with
the-
all, with both, but I will say with grants, which I think is a great idea, grants do expire, so I hope if we do look into this, that we stay on top of it to continue to renew it, because once it's gone, we'll be left in the same
Right,
position.
right, just on stuff like that, you bring up
Yeah.
a good point. And the grants only help a lot of times just for construction. Keep in
Correct.
mind that the biggest expense you run into sometimes is the operating expense, hiring lifeguards, hiring, everything that comes with running a pool, whatever. And I'm sure that you guys are aware of that, but it is something that we are gonna have to consider if we decide to do what we discussed. The other note is the school may still go through with making the repairs, so just keep that in mind that they may go ahead and fund it and with the assistance of the county, so it's just something to think about as well. So-
Okay, anybody else? Councilman Conley?
I'm the same way, I'm in agreement, and, the concern that I brought the last meeting was more the soil, the soil testing, see if they done it or not, cause evidently they have a leak, so it's going somewhere, it's gotta go to the soil, so underneath the pool, so it's no reason to be fixing, patching, and just masking something that might potentially be hazard, devastating at the end. I'm just concerned about that, so.
Okay, anybody else? All right, we've got a motion and a second. I'm gonna ask for a show of hands. All in favor, please raise your hand. One more time, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, all against, please raise your hand. The motion is denied. Okay, folks. Moving on to item, 6D. This is an action item, discuss and consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and enter into an interlocal agreement with Frio County regarding EMS service in the amount not to exceed $75,000 annually. This is an action item. May I have a motion and a second, please?
Motion.
A motion by Councilwoman Hernandez. May I have a second? Second by Councilwoman Talamontes. City manager, you have the floor.
Yes, Mayor and Council, on this item, this is a relatively new item that's come to the city, and it's a request by Frio County for some participation from the city regarding EMS services. This is not a budgeted item either this fiscal year. I think the request they're making on this interlocal is $75,000. 75 just seems like it's the number that, I don't know, it seems like a popular number. Anyway, there is a current interlocal agreement. I believe at one time the city was paying approximately a little over $150,000 for the EMS contract. To my knowledge, the county entered into a new contract with another EMS service provider, and I believe they're asking the city of Pearsall for $75,000. We have not. The reason I mentioned, if you will allow me to negotiate, we have not seen the contract. As you can see, if you look on your packet, I believe it's page number, give me just a minute, page number 7 of your packet. There's where it says Frio County Performance there on your packet. It references an Exhibit A. The Exhibit A should be the contract, the EMS service contract. That is not included in the interlocal. So what I'm asking for, if the council chooses to participate, is some leverage or some way of negotiating that $75,000. As you can see, they've asked, I believe they have the city of Pearsall, they have Pearsall Independent School District, city of Dilley, and I don't know, I believe they may be missing the Dilley ISD.
Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so this you're saying it's a secondary EMS company?
It's a new contract with a new EMS provider, yes ma'am.
And those amounts that they're asking from the school district, city of Dilley, and what are those amounts that they're requesting?
We just know that according to this, that the Pearsall ISD there's a $25,000 amount from the school district, $75,000, and I think the city of Dilley, there's no dollar amount.
Okay, so I would like to know how come we're getting the highest amount when the county and the school, their tax base, the way they receive tax money is a whole different situation.
Right.
The taxes on county, they'll get their money.
Right.
Because, and they get it from all three entities, okay? City of Pearsall does not get taxes if people don't pay their home taxes, and we do not get sales tax if we don't have business, okay? I don't know how they came up with 75,000 versus 25,000. Asking us for 75,000, putting $0 on Dilly, putting 25,000 on the school, and wanting us to make a decision based on that.
Yep. It's something that if the council wants to table, I really don't know all the details yet. I haven't seen the contract, which was the reason for the negotiation, but at this point, from my stance, I don't know, from a budget standpoint,
Yeah.
whether we want to budget anything or not, because we have to, if there's gonna be something in the budget that we need to,
Would we still be getting ambulance services?
to my, well, I don't want to go and answer that, I do
No,
have to
I'm
ask the
just
county
saying.
that. But I would think that it should.
Regardless, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
won't
I just
answer
don't
that.
know how they came up with those amounts.
Okay, Councilman Calderon, you have the floor.
Call Bob.
I do, have a concern, even though, when you get the emergency services, you get revenues as well. And I know with the emergency source district, they usually, get the revenues. And here lately, everything's been divided up equally between Dilly, Pearsall, Bigfoot, and more. So we're putting up expenses towards the services that will provide for Bigfoot, Moore, and Dilly as well. But then when the emergency sources district, they divvy up our share, it goes equally amount, which I don't think is fair. I think we should table this item and, maybe take it back with you.
Sure. If you would, we would have to, again, from our standpoint, we would budget a minimum of $75,000. Doesn't mean we would pay that. We would budget something for this year. But I'm saying that the amount is not to exceed $75,000. Again, at one time we were paying $150,000. I think that stopped about 2 or 3 years ago. And so, but that was the interlocal that was signed. I don't recall what year, but it's always been, from my understanding, it's always been a source of I hate to use the word tension, but I'll use it. It's been a source of tension with who's paying what for EMS, and so I think we're back at how this gets paid.
Mr. Reyes,
Councilman Trevino.
so do you think that this disclose of information from the city of Delhi was just done?
No, I think this, now keep in mind that this came from the county, this came from the Frio County. So the dollar amount, I think it's something to where they may have asked them, hey, how much can you contribute? And
And they said zero.
their response is, we don't know, or we don't have it in the budget. Quite frankly, I don't know that to be a fact, but that's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's to me, that's just a red flag there. You give me full description and full information before we go into something.
Yep.
Anybody else?
I agree. We need to table it and have more concrete evidence so we can make that decision, because us paying more than anybody else, that does not make sense at all.
Okay.
It does not make sense.
All right, council, any other questions? Well, we have a motion by Councilwoman Hernandez and a second by Councilwoman Talamontes. If you would like to amend your motion to table, there's an approval on yours and a second on yours. We have a motion now to amend by Councilwoman Hernandez and a second by Councilwoman Talamontes. All in favor of tabling this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item is tabled. Okay, moving on to item, this will be item 7E, discuss and consider ordinance number 20220902 to establish a tax rate and levy for the city of Pearsall for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2022, and ending September 30th, 2023. This is an action item. I will.
Mayor, I'll motion for it.
Excuse
I'll
me?
motion for it.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilman Rodriguez. There is a second by Councilwoman Garza. Okay. City manager, I turn the floor to you.
Sure. Mayor, again, as we've talked about, this budget consists of a tax rate of 88 cents. And just for the folks that, and I appreciate Mr. Tremont taking the time to read the letter. I don't know that many people do, but I appreciate that. In saying that, part of the transparency and the issues that, to be clear of what some of the things we've talked about. And I think the council, we've met, I think we've tried to meet on the tax rate, on the budget more than about half a dozen times. In saying that, as the council knows, we took a pretty good chunk of revenue loss whenever STEC was, and we budgeted for that last year, okay? So we were getting paid, through that STEC, that pilot agreement, we were getting paid almost at one time, $1.2 million. That was cut in half, okay? So we had to make that adjustment in the budget. So we made that adjustment. That adjustment is in there. We anticipate an increase to sales tax of about $300,000, but it still doesn't cover that revenue that we anticipated. So we've cut positions. As Mr. Trevino alluded to, we've cut positions to try to make those budget adjustments. As far as like some of the things that have happened, and I won't get into a lot of detail, but as the council knows, things that have happened since I've been here, a lot of it has been really health-related, emergency-related stuff. Now, I know we all maybe lose, our memory is not as good as it used to be. As I alluded to Councilman Trevino when I spoke to her earlier today, Councilman Rodriguez, excuse me. We were in this pandemic started March of 2020. We did not get any significant help until August of 2021. In that time, we didn't charge any penalties and interest to anybody that was late on a water bill. Matter of fact, we went several months without collecting. If people didn't pay, we weren't going to shut off their water. We did that. The city did that. I'm not saying that I'm not taking credit for it. I'm saying that that's something that was done, and it's still being done. As of today, we're still not collecting penalties and interest. I would ask if anybody that's running a business, if you quit collecting penalties and interest and your boss knew about that, what would happen? If you're truly running a business, and now the utility fund is a portion of our business, right? That's the business end of the city. In saying that, I think Councilman, and I appreciate it, Rodriguez also mentioned that there was a significant increase. There was a significant increase to give the police department a pay increase. And this was done, I believe, in 2020. So with that, those increases come at a cost. Somebody's got to pay for them. Where does that cost go to? Your taxpayers, right there. That's who pays for it. There's been other increases that have happened, okay? And so with that alone, again, we're talking about adding things to the budget, and we're looking at adding expenses. Well, those expenses have to balance out to your revenues. If those revenues aren't there, something's got to give. Something has to give. And so I believe that what we've cut out of the budget, which has been at least 5 positions, cutting other things that we need to cut to make this budget balance. We've done what we could. I don't have any, I wish I could tell you that I had a magic wand and could create dollars, but I can't. That's just I can't. We've used ARP money primarily, yes, that's correct, for infrastructure projects. Infrastructure planning, infrastructure design, primarily has gone to that. There hasn't been any, we have not given pay increases to employees with ARP money. I know other entities have done that. We have not. We have not done that. We have not touched ARP money to give employees increases. I'm asking, what I've been asking for, and they're back here, okay? A lot of our staff is back here, is a little bit of help. Everybody has expenses, I get it. I recognize it. I recognize this. Other point came up is salaries. I'll go ahead and say this. There's less than 10% of our staff makes over $50,000. Less than 10. Out of the 75 staff, that's how much gets more than $50,000 on their salary. I won't get into all the details. I'll go into more details if that's what you need, but my point I'm trying to make is this. If we're talking about salaries, less than 10%, which is 7 people, get paid more than $50,000. And in saying that, none of them, excluding me, get paid more than $80,000. None of them.
So how does y'all's pay scale work? Don't y'all work by degrees? Is that the one that we paid all this money for? They determine the degrees that they have? Do they, the ones that are not making over 50, do they have degrees?
Some do and some do not. It goes on experience, degrees, what you're doing, the work that it entails, And it's market driven, so we're calling different communities, and I think, I'll refresh some memories, I'll try to at least. Whenever the police did their work, and I'll reference that, because that's what started a lot of this. Whenever the police did their survey, we used cities that were similar to that. And as far as their gathering of data and information, how much starting officer was making. And we use the same communities, same ones. And I don't believe that our employees that are not police should be treating any different. That's my opinion, okay?